Are we back? I hope we're back. Please let us be back. So hopefully my connection is good and we are back, and yay, we'll be able to pick up where I planned. Let's see if I can get back to there. Or if Comcast is going to misbehave. Comcast, it appears, is going to misbehave. Because, you know, that's how things work. No, everyone has to have an app. Try one more time to log in. These parts work. Guess not. All right, we'll do it We'll do it the other way. We will hopefully play some music. From YouTube-chan. YouTube-chan, please behave.
If Chevelle wrote Teeny...
It would help if I also played that through my headphones. All right. Even better. Okay, now we can hopefully actually get to work. Oh. Okay. Well, since Twitch seems to think that we restarted the stream, I will wait for ad breaks to end, and then I will get started. Oh, whoops. I forgot to punch some of the holes in this. Good thing that I snagged that. I saw that. These are our typical small. This is going to be our typical medium to large style harnesses. So yeah, these shouldn't take too long to build, but you never know. We will do our best to get these out quickly so we can do our painting work and our fun. You have to eat your meal, you have to eat your main dish before you get to dessert, which is going to be our kitty here. So let us... Let's get started. Okay, so for these, we just have plenty of these we need to punch. 12 of them, in fact. So we're going to put Mr. Kitties aside for now. And grab our supply of rivets, because we're going to be using a large number of them. Again, I will very likely I will not have the rivet setter on screen. It's unfortunately, my table is not great right now for rivets, so it's just better for me to do this part to punch them off screen. I will try to keep all my other, because I kind of need to brace my rivet setter and things like that into the corner of my table where it can be braced somewhat properly. I'm very much hoping to I'm hoping to very much to get a new workbench in the near future. If I do, that will give me a much wider work surface, or longer work surface. I'm not sure if it'll actually... not sure if it will actually... I mean, we'll see what it does for my ability to place cameras and tools and make a better video workspace, but, you know, I'll make it work some way or another. But let's face it, doing this work on a card table, like I've been doing for the past years and years and years, is not ideal. And it's mildly surprising it's lasted as long as it has with the abuse I put into it. But yeah, right now we're just buckling in or riveting in our buckles and our keepers. Which is incredibly repetitive. I mean, this whole process is pretty repetitive. I just can hope that for everyone watching, you get maybe some ASMR out of the ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk of the rivet setter. Sometimes I find that ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk kind of a relief as well. You know? Stop that. You know, I rearranged things. I rearranged my table a little bit. The hope was to give me a little more space to work with, make things a little bit less clumsy, make things maybe not fall over quite so much. For a chance of that happening. You never know. You know, one of the things I always fight with is like my procedure in how I do things, like how I punch the rivets, or punch the holes, how I cut slots, things like that, because it's very much a case of like it's very much a case of what part of my anatomy do I want to strain. This work is very, very repetitive motion heavy. So it's kind of like, where do you want your injuries to happen? Do you want them in your shoulders and elbows? Do you want them in your wrists? Do you want them in your fingers? Do you want them in the palms and in your fingers? You know, because you're probably gonna screw yourself over. You're probably gonna get some kind of, you know, repetitive motion injury. In doing this. Like, no matter what you do, you're very likely going to end up with something resembling a repetitive motion injury. So it's kind of a, how can you prolong things as much as possible without wearing yourself out. You know? Right now, I'm spending more time definitely trying to preserve my wrists and hands than I am my shoulders and elbows. Mostly because my wrists and hands have been fucked up for far longer. But what you see me doing here is, you know, I'm just setting the buckles with the tongue through. Setting my rivets. And then sliding on a keeper so that when the straps are laced through, they're not flopping all over the place. Which, you know, not the most attractive thing to have happen. To be sure. And these are, as I said, medium to large. These are going to be medium to large style harnesses. I've definitely fitted these to people on the smaller side. Just because, you know, with a little bit of hole punching or extra hole punching, you can usually, and maybe a little trimming on the straps, I can usually get this to work for someone who's a little more slender chested. Which is nice because sort of the extremes of body types are the kind of people who have the most challenges finding harnesses. I will certainly say, as much as I am not a big person, I do kind of have a barrel chest. And so a lot of things, I mean, we're not talking about my belly. I'm fat. I'm a fat boy. I'm a chubby boy. Chubby boy. But we're talking about, like, actual... Hey, Lori. I'm a chunky boy, but I actually am reasonably big chested. I'm barrel chested, which means that sometimes I do have problems finding stuff that fits, especially in this kind of style of harness and well, I do have moves, that is true. We're not talking about my moves, though. I don't have a problem with my moves. I'm talking about literal chest size, as in where my ribs are. Because you can compress moves if you really want to, but you're not gonna compress the rib cage. That's unhealthy. Also, Lori, can you let me know if the music or the sound is good level compared to my voice? Okay, you're right there. I mean, corsetry was a thing, so it's not impossible. It should be... Okay, let me... How about now? So I just... Okay. How does it sound compared to me, though? Should it be higher or lower? And hello, Raven. Meow meow. I deliberately had my audio down pretty low because, some people prefer to have the music very low. Did you have to send in an appeal, or was it a auto review, Raven? And congrats, of course. Because I mean, yeah, that was absolutely a bullshit ban. Like, that was absolutely one of Twitch's bullshit bans. Good. Well, good. And of course, the ban you got was for something like... So June is Pride Month, right? So of course it had to happen during Pride Month because Twitch. Because of course that would happen on Twitch. So... How are they lesbian sabers, Lori? How are they lesbian sabers? I gotta ask. What makes them lesbian sabers? Also, Lori, scissors, right? Um. Also, I'm afraid, Lori, guess what hasn't happened yet? USPS is still not updated where the trackers are. Like, did they get stuck in LA? Or did they like legitimately lose them? I'm seriously wondering if they actually lost them. Like, yeah, I mean, usually if something gets lost, I get a notice that it's made it to me, and they just never show up on my doorstep. I've had several cases of things where they're like, "Oh yeah, your package came in," and it's like, "No, it didn't. What do you mean it came in?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it made it to your doorstep." No, it didn't. I checked my doorstep. It's not there. No, it's totally there. It's totally on your doorstep. No, it's not. I have also had packages stolen, which was funny and dumb because what they stole was just a bunch of leather supplies. It wasn't even like leather, it was just hardware. It was just like buckles and rings and shit. It's like, you go ahead and enjoy that. I mean, I'm not sure what you're going to do with it, but okay. You know, you have fun with that, I suppose? So, Raven, how was your little school get together? I heard you had like a little barbecue slash grill out. Is that true? Well, I'm pretty sure it's true because you told me yourself that that's what you were doing. Um, I hope you had fun. I know you said like one isn't one on Friday or oh, how did you fuck up the shoes? Oh, also, Lori, if you have any interest, I am definitely going to have time for zombies tonight, if you want to. We can continue fortifying and expanding with our plans on eventually moving into Louisville. Oh. So you lost your grip on the... Yeah. Lost your grip on a sander and ended up abrading the shoe you were working on? Ended up scratching the hell out of the shoe you were working on? I've definitely done maybe not that exact thing, but certainly the equivalent when doing my leather work. That's for fucking sure. Some tools are very prone to yeah, there are definitely tools that like have a tendency to can do some real damage to your leather if you miss a stitch or miss a stroke. So I get that. Oof. Yeah, I see that scratch. Yeah. I see it. I mean, you did your best, but that is definitely a blemish. That is definitely a pretty good scratch right there. You have my sympathies. I have definitely had to make do with masks and hoods that I just kind of was like, oh, hey, we'll just do our best to make it still work. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Oh. No, come back here, Rivet. Yeah, no, I mean, it's entire. I can tell it's entirely a cosmetic error. Like, it's a cosmetic flaw. That's all. It's a cosmetic flaw. Nothing wrong with them. Honestly, that's the biggest thing I've learned in developing my skills and why I can call myself a professional, which is, like, the difference is a professional knows when you can fix a mistake, when you can hide a mistake, or when it's time to like cut your losses and just say, you know what? The mistake is too big. Time to start over. That's kind of the biggest deal with being a professional. Can you repair it? Can you cover it up? Or is it time to not waste any more time on it? And when you're an amateur, when you're still learning, I think people assume the third happens a lot more than it really does. In my opinion, there are honestly very few well, there's not very few, but there's a lot fewer like failures than you think. Most errors or issues can be repaired or covered up and still make a completely usable, completely beautiful product that people will still really want. And if you don't feel like, and if you feel like you should, you know, if you feel like someone might not want your product because there's a flaw in it, discount it. Say, oh, there's a flaw in this. You know, if there's a flaw in this, but it is not a significant flaw, but I'm still offering this discount because there's a flaw in it. You know? Nothing wrong with that at all. You just kind of, you know, you go with it. And usually you still come out with something completely usable. However, it is also totally okay to be a little bit unhappy with your work and want to be it's also okay to be dissatisfied with your work, because when you're dissatisfied with your work, that helps you strive to improve it. You know, just there's a balance there. There's a balance between, you know, I fucked up and I can do better, and then following that with that makes this completely worthless, or I can improve it. I can improve next time. I can improve next time, but this time is still okay. That's kind of the place where I'm at now, is I'm much more at the sure, I definitely feel like I could make it better. But for now, like, I'm definitely at the stage where I feel like almost every time I could do it better, but I'm also not letting myself, you know, completely devalue the effort that I've already made. Bad bots. Naughty bots. I need to... We're going to close that. Mix It Up doesn't like you logging out and logging back in. Let's get back into it. Alright, there we go. That's a little bit better. And updated. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm just making a quickie wrap over style holder. For the D-rings I'm going to be putting on this. How many? Now I could just do a little fold over and leave the top edge. But I kind of don't want to do that. Here, let me get a longer rivet to better measure this. Okay. So there's that. Why don't we do that? And we're just doing this in a quickie style. Me, I'm doing okay. Yesterday was kind of icky because I forgot my meds. So I kind of got a little bit sicky about halfway through the day, which was not fun. Because one of my meds, unfortunately, like if I don't take it, it has some pretty nasty side effects, withdrawal effects. So like so there's definitely a case of like, you know, if I forget to take my meds, it can really kind of suck for a day or so. And that was yesterday. But I did, you know, manage to get some stuff done. I managed to prep for this stream, so, you know, I was kind of okay with that. Um, Today I'm doing much better. You know, and I was, of course, looking forward to doing the stream today because you all help me stay on task. You help me fight the ADHD demons. Which is definitely something that occasionally I need help with. Come here, you. Did I center that? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go in here. Get this properly set. I'm glad to be able to have this weekend at least nominally off. Let's see if I can do it this way. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work better. So, you know, I can probably do some repo tomorrow, sure. You know, make sure you snag me for it. And I will do my best to make myself available. You know, feel free to find whoever else you want to snag for it, and we'll get some time in. We can either get Feline, maybe, or if you have someone else who wants to pop in, we can stream or not. It's kind of up to you. Yeah, that'd be fun to play with some Groms, since we haven't played with him in a while. Or at least I certainly haven't chatted with Groms in a while. So I'm kind of, you know, that'd be kind of nifty. Come here, you. Stupid rivets. The stupid rivets are kind of misbehaving, but we'll do what we can. There we go. That should be the last I need, the longer ones. You know, the more the merrier. Absolutely, the more the merrier. Definitely should make up a mod list. Because, you know, we have been doing a lot with the mods, and we should, you know, we want to sort of play around with some of those and adjust some of those mods that we want to do. Also, we need to tutor your friends in how to use the mods. If they're gonna, because if they're gonna join, I mean, that said, I don't mind playing with. That said, vanilla is fine. Like, playing vanilla is entirely fine. Don't get me wrong. I have no problems playing vanilla whatsoever. But some of the stuff, like the outfits, the costumes, you know, the outfits, at the very least, I love the outfit stuff. So it'd be really nice to keep the outfit stuff. It would be really nice to keep the, you know, the confirmation button on putting it on dropping off the stuff in the different, in the drop points. Keeping that stuff would be really nifty. I don't need that anymore. Because playing vanilla where you couldn't control when the drop points triggered was a little bit annoying, to say the least. It didn't let you take advantage of good gameplay. I.e., hey look, we collected more stuff and we just want to put it in the cart and not have it immediately trigger. Yeah, like that can happen. That absolutely can happen. Which, admittedly, kinda funny. When you break the cart, kinda funny. But also annoying. Have I mentioned I'm vaguely jealous of a friend of mine who started into the leather business? I think I had, but I still am. Why am I jealous, you may ask? Because they, apparently bought up, all of the shit, all of the equipment from someone else. So they got to start with all of the nifty tools that I wish I had. Like a mechanical rivet setter. as opposed to the manual one that as opposed to the, it's still manual, but like not, I mean, it's not hammering the rivets, but they actually have a full mechanical rivet setter. They also have a full laser cutter. So I'm a little jealous, I will admit. Absolutely wish I had some of those things too. They would make my life so much easier. Admittedly, I don't know if their rivet setter, using their foot power, their pedal rivet setter would be as fast as this. But still. Wish I had it. Spare my arms a little bit on the whole bicep strain and things like that. So, we'll see how that goes. I really wish them well. I mean, as much as they are somewhat competitive, they are competition, I do wish them well. Like, I wish every small business owner well. Like, if you are providing a service that people need and you think your product is different enough to fill a niche, then sure, go for it. I do think their product line is a little sort of generic. Like, I've definitely seen a lot of the stuff they make from other makers and other companies. So I hope they figure out how to put their own twist on it. But I still wish them well. Like, I don't wish failure on anybody. I am not petty. I am not petty like that. At least I generally don't think I'm petty. Okay. So, we'll see how they do. This is their first year. They're really just getting started out. They've booked at a couple Pride events, or at least one that I know of, but here you get to hear me grunting and groaning. Grunt, grunt, grunt. Grunt, groan, grunt, groan. Leather working ASMR. That is a smart idea, Raven, because you're going to end up creating a lot of little bits of leather scrap. And I suspect, if depending on how dumb your cats are, they might try eating a chunk of it. It's one of the reasons why I don't have pets. Because I'm worried that that might be an issue. Because cats are dumb. Well, yeah. And as I've discussed before, there is evidence to show that house cats are just getting dumber. Because we don't do anything to... Because they don't have to use their brain. Because we feed them and take care of them and all that stuff. So, what's the point in having a brain if you don't really have to use it? So they just are getting dumber. Because of course they are. And honestly, we don't breed, like, you know, there's a good chunk of cats now that are bred by breeders, and we don't breed for intelligence. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of feral cats. There are absolutely plenty of feral cats, and those feral cats are absolutely a menace. Don't get me wrong. But that's still, you know, there's still a big problem. And that is, yeah, that is absolutely still a big problem, but so don't get me wrong, there's still, like, cats are still a pretty big threat, but to wildlife and stuff, but we are still making them dumber. Because of course we are. Because that's what we do as humans. Let me finish setting these rivets, and then I will get Harold. finish up this particular as I lose track of which side is up. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back, Harold. Hello, Harold. Harold the head. Head pats for Harold. Head pats for Raven. Pat, 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 pat. Congratulations on passing your tests. And relax and make sure you are able to take some time for yourself over the summer break and all that stuff. And then figure out what you're going to do. You have time. I don't. You do. So you get head pats. You get head pats. I don't have time because I don't have money. But yeah. But yes. Head pats, head pats, head pats, head pats, head pats. Head pats for the Raven. I am absolutely sure you'll do fine, Raven. As I said, you've got plenty of time. I am not in the same boat, but I'm doing my best. Okay, note to self, next time use slightly larger hole punch. I think I found the good balance point with the other hole punch. Yeah, that's not going through easily. And we do not fight with leather. Leather is not worth... Just like Beat Saber is not worth injuring yourself over, leather is not worth injuring yourself over. There we go. Just stay here. Man. We're almost done with our harnesses. Once we are done with our harnesses, we'll be able to get onto the... We will be done with our dinner, and we'll be able to move on to our dessert, which is going to be some... You can see him in the upper right corner a little bit. You can see his bottom jaw. But I have a new cat mask, and we're going to do some fancy things with that cat mask. We're going to hopefully paint up that cat mask to give him a little more character. We're also going to try a little experiment with potentially adding whiskers to our cat mask. Because I would really like to add whiskers to the cat mask. If I can. Because I think it would look nifty. Okay. If I just lay here. Must resist temptation to sing along. At least not for more than a couple seconds at a time. And I have not forgotten about doing potentially a karaoke stream. I don't know why you want me to do a karaoke stream. I have no idea what makes you think I would be any good at a karaoke stream. I think my singing voice is kind of terrible, but sure, I'll let you guys have your delusions in that regard. I suppose that's a compliment, thank you. But like, how is that going to translate into karaoke, you know? You know, it's one thing to say, especially since the only vocal training I've ever had was chorus in high school. One more to go. One more to go. If Korn made this song, I gotta say, it's got some interesting tone to it. Okay. Okay. Alright, we're finishing up these last bits of the harness. So, yay. So, one of the debates I'm having with this mask is, do I want to make this mask do I want to make this mask my mask that I'm... Okay, so I will discuss it more in detail once I pull up the other mask. How do I put this? Oops, wrong way, wrong side. Okay. Alright, let me finish punching these holes, and we can put together the harnesses, and we can discuss the next thing we're going to work on today. And we'll basically be done with almost all of our tools. Rawr. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Meow. Meow. Meow, rawr. So, it's getting a little bit hotter around here, too. Summer definitely deciding to show up and start kicking our butts. So, which is going to be interesting when I try to do Beat Saber streams, if I want my streams to last longer. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two, three, 4, 5. Okay, so these are evened up. Meow meow. Meow. Meow 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 meow. And harness. You've seen these harnesses before. So we will put them aside and just get these done with. These are the same harnesses I have done in the past. Five. So this was very much, I won't call it busy work, but definitely like work I've done before on the stream. This is the stuff that kind of is the bread and butter of my business. Just making the same shit over and over again, because it's the stuff that sells. And sometimes you just gotta cater to the stuff that sells, right? Because after all, if you're not selling anything, you don't get to stay in business. But I do play around with experimental things now and again. So get in the hole. Get in the hole. Things you don't want to be hearing in the bedroom? Get in the hole. Why are you having such problems getting in the hole? Yes, I'm still here. Water. Okay, we are done with harnesses. Yay, done with harnesses. Now we can get on to the main/optional project for today. We won't need any of these tools, hopefully. Maybe the whole bunch. Here he is. What do you think? What do you think of my new little friend? So today we are going to use, I have a selection of leather paints. Where's the black? Right. We're going to use some acrylic leather paint. It's only a fluid ounce, but we should be able to get good coverage, decent coverage with it. Oh, don't need that. So I wanted to put some detailing work on him. But the debate I've been having is, do I make something kind of generic? Do I make something do I detail him like sort of a generic charcoal leopard or charcoal pattern leopard or jaguar? Or do I make him mine? And what I mean by making him mine is basically painting him in the pattern that's my character, my persona. You know? Think I should make him mine? So what's the difference? So the difference is that, so I'm going to be doing black around the nose and maybe down the muzzle a little bit, coming up the side and into the eyepiece here. What would make it a little bit different is on this side he would be silver, with some silver coming down here to mark the side of his muzzle. And then from there we would add additional markings and rosettes and things like that. Ideally, I'd have him be slightly darker than this as a base color, as a instead of this more charcoal gray. But I think this is as close as I'm going to get. So you think I should make it mine? Sure. Why don't we do our best to make him mine? That way if the painting doesn't go so well, I can at least take him home and correct him, or it's not going to go to a customer who might have issues with the paint later. So if I find out if this paint doesn't stick real well to the leather, or it chips off, or anything like that, I can do that. But one thing I am going to need is, pardon me for just a moment, while I go grab a water pot, a glass of water. I don't think we'll need much more than that, but so give me just a moment. So I picked up a paper towel and a cleaning wipe, because that would hopefully take off paint a little bit better than if I do mess up. I'm hoping this paint is still good. It's been, I bought this thing a while ago. We have our paint pot, we have our silver, we have our black. Those are pretty much our main colors for this. So I will say I have done minimal amounts of painting. So we'll see how this goes, because I have no idea how it's going to go, honestly. I may not like this particular paint, for instance. This seems to be a very thickish paint. Let me see if I can find something else to pour it into. This'll do. Yeah, it seems to be a very thick acrylic leather paint. We'll do our best to work with it. I may choose to okay. That's not a good sign. It's coming. Let me see if I might have black in a different style of paint. I don't know how leather paint is supposed to look, but that seems pretty thick to me. Yeah, that's very thick. Let me see if I have another style of paint. Okay, so my two options are to use the thick paint or to switch to dye. I'm going to grab a quick little clipping of the type of leather that I'm using here, and we'll see how this leather paint applies first. Okay, so let's give this a try first of all, and we're gonna see how this applies to a sample of the leather that I'm using here. So this should be a disposable brush. I mean, that's not bad, actually. Like, it's thick, but What do you think? What do you think? It's got good coverage. A little bit goes a long way. It is coming off in the water. All right, we can work with it. We can work with it. I'm just probably going to have to be kind of careful with... I have to be a little bit careful with where it goes, you know what I mean? So I'm going to switch to a thinner brush for doing this. So we're going to switch to a thinner, so it's a thinner, firmer bristled brush. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and go around the nose to give the nose a little bit of a black accent. So and I know it doesn't have to be perfect. After all, it's representing, you know, basically, it's representing, you know, the markings on a cat. The markings on a cat aren't always exactly perfect, so... So we're just widening the black. This first part, we're just widening a little bit of the black around the edge of the nose. Just to accent that nose a little bit more. You know, just giving a little bit of an accent to the snout. The nice thing is I can actually use the stitch lines as kind of a guide for how far I want it to go, which is a little bit which is pretty convenient. So you know, just a little extra black around the nose to give it a little extra accent. All right. So now the big stroke, we're going to go up the side of the nose. Naughty. But what do you think? What do you think of this one? What do you think of this, Laurie? What do you think of my little kitty mask? Keeping in mind, I don't paint, and so I'm basically freehanding all of this with the hopes that it turns out kind of okay. Like, that is my legitimate concern, is this going to come out kind of okay? You know? So the main color here is going to be this black, but we're gonna, in a moment, we're gonna switch over to the silver for a little bit, because we're not just making a Mew, we're making my Mew. And for my Mew has silver around one of the eyes. So and I think I poured out way too much of this paint, because this paint is a very thick covering, as we pointed out. Alright. Now we're going to do the silver, because that's the other eye. We're also doing this freehand, so I'm going to add a bunch of like spots and details and stuff, but I really like... but I don't know how it's going to turn out, because I'm literally just freehanding the fuck out of this, which is a category in and of itself, I suppose. So I like Angelus Direct's colors, but I wish their coverage was a bit better, because I usually have to go back and forth over the same areas multiple times to get decent coverage. Maybe I should have gone over it with white first and then silver. I don't know. Like, this Angelus Direct brand flows a lot better, but the coverage isn't nearly as good. We'll just put it that way. Okay, so let's do the... And then I'll fill in, do the edging. So what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me... So I'm going to do this layer. And I'm going to put this brush aside. Give it a little bit of time to dry. And then I will come back to and put down another layer. Alrighty, Raven. Sleep goods. Okay. So since I'm just freehanding, I'm just doing some color markings here, some patterns and colors that seem kind of nifty to me. I'm not stressing too bad about getting the cleanest lines because after all, it's supposed to be kind of fur, but I do want to get it, you know, looking kind of nice. Yeah, I like that. It'll do fine. Especially if I put a little, just a little something something there. A little something there. And again, it doesn't have to be like perfectly even and all. I just want to do little patterns. Little rough patterns and stuff. Keeping in mind that, you know, in a lot of these felines and a lot of these big cats, the head markings do tend to be fairly symmetric. At least, especially on that kind of upper head area. So We do want things to look kind of full, though. Get some good coverage on there. Gee. Let me take a look at some of the pictures I pulled up. I kind of screwed this up a little bit. That's okay. They usually don't have big markings on the nose. They usually have lots of little small markings around the nose and eyes. So it's kind of more like... So it's a little bit more like broken up, I suppose. So it's a little bit more like so it's more like a spray of black and colors, sort of much more like just little I'm not sure I'm really liking this, but we'll go with it. So I'm just free forming some of this stuff. Hey, if all else fails, just add more, right? And if all else fails, I can just paint the whole thing black, right? But I really don't like it. Which... which I'm not sure. I'm kind of not sure about. I'm going to do that. I'm going to fill those in. Might have some rosettes on the cheeks and stuff. I'm trying to remember that this is supposed to be fur, which means it doesn't have to look totally even and but my natural OCD is kind of like fighting me on it. You know what? I might just go back to like making this sort of a generic kind of fit for anyone kind of thing. Yeah, screw it. Why not? So, which means, sorry, Silver, you are getting covered over. I will do one for myself another time. In which case, the thickness of this black is going to be quite helpful. Because I can just... Oh, that needs to be thicker. That's fine. Let's do a little... I'm going to do a little half rosette about where the leather strap comes in. Side. And they've into the sea. I'm not sure. Oh well. Again, if I decide it's shitty, if I decide it's particularly shitty, I can always just paint everything black and do it that way. And then not worry about it so much. Oh, whoops. Ah, no. Where did you hit? You hit, funny enough, in one of the few places where it's not really going to hurt it. Thank you. Steady is calling me. Oh. Nope. Sorry I'm not looking up and looking at chat quite so much. It's a little bit harder to do when I'm trying not to screw this up too much. So rawr. Definitely overused, overestimated, or overestimated how much paint I would be using. It's not exactly the most even thing, but Yeah, again, sorry I'm not able to keep up with chat so much. It's a little bit hard when I'm trying to focus on this. Hey, Mew. Hey, Mew. How's it going? As you can see, I'm kinda just doing a nifty little cat mask that I kinda finished up, and now I'm adding some paint to it. The original thought was to maybe make it like my patterns, but I kind of changed my mind on that one. Instead, I'm just kind of painting generic charcoal colored kitty. Yep. We're gonna put a little edge on the lips, just to accent them a little bit. I basically figure if it turns out that I really don't like it, I can always just paint over the entire thing and make it black and say forget it. Try again. You know what I mean? Maybe someone will want to buy it. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be end up left with who knows? Who knows, right? I'm not sure how I feel about it. I will admit, I'm not sure what I feel about it. Like, it's got some nifty things going on. What do you guys think? Does it look okay, or should I be planning on just blacking the whole thing? My insecurity is taking hold of me just a little bit. Okay, more than a little bit. Maybe I should have just stuck with like rosettes and little circles. I don't know. The thing is that even when I'm looking at pictures of leopards and jaguars and stuff online, their faces don't actually have like... Their faces generally don't have a lot of rosettes. They usually have these bulky mixed patterns that really like break up the base color of whatever their base color of whatever their core fur pattern is. You know? So it's like... So it does look kind of crowded when you look at it, when you look at pictures. There's actually often very little of the core fur color showing through. And so I'm feeling kind of nervous about this whole thing, about how it looks, and like, I don't know. I need to hand this to someone else and say, hey, what do you think? Crapper or not. And so I'm just kind of... Yeah. So the mask... So I did do the mask. I assembled the mask offline. But the painting and stuff has all been... The painting is stuff I've been doing just now. So... So, yeah. And also, yeah, like most felines are and do and do have kind of a regularity to them, like, or not regularity. So they mostly seem symmetrical on their faces, at least. I presume that's to help break up their profile a little bit. So I had no plan. I had no template. This is me freehanding. Um, so I think I'm probably just gonna finish up here pretty soon. Yep, Mew. Yeah. So I do hand stitching. I do paint all the painting. This is telling me that this is not thick enough. Yep. Good enough. I'm going to leave the under chin alone. So that's kind of the... this I'm going to fill in a little bit more up the top here. That little thin line. I don't know. I don't like it. There's no other thin lines elsewhere on this whole thing, so... Alright. I think that is about where I'm going to finish the front of the mask. Now let me see. Let's do a little bit of ear tipping. A little ear tip. A little black ear tip. Maybe a little rough, little there, so it doesn't look quite as regular. There. And then the ear tips are a little blackened too. Okay. I think that is where I think I'm going to be done. I think I'm going to be done stitching these, or painting these. Hold on. I need to grab my lighter real quick because that's a loose-ish thread that I want to take care of. So what do you think? Let me attach the ears. Yeah, it's that side. I mean, this paint does seem to dry fairly quickly. I don't know what kind of sealant this requires, so we'll see what I need to do to it when it dries. Oops. No, other side. Or I should say, other ear. Yes, YouTube, I'm still listening. Give me a minute. Alright, so one thing I can say for sure about this paint is the paint's coverage is quite good. I barely touched the pool that I have here on my little painting tray, and I was able to do this entire thing. So I'm going to try and get as much of this paint back into the container as I can, because this is worth keeping. I was afraid it would not be thick enough. I was afraid it would be, it would be too thick, too gummy. And it turned out to be pretty much okay. Alright, there's one other thing I wanted to do, which I should have started my hot glue gun to do. So let me grab my hot glue gun real quick and get that plugged in. And I need a few sticks, a couple of sticks of extra glue just in case. Okay. Alright, let me see if I can get a good chunk of this paint back in the pot, because they didn't give me that much, and I don't want to waste it. Especially since I've determined that the coverage is nice. Alright, I need to... Like, this stuff is seriously jelly-like. Not even kidding. Like, look at how... I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but... Like, that is thick stuff. Thick, thick stuff. But good to know I don't need that much of it in the future. Okay, I'm liking this more now that I see it with the ears, I will admit. I think the ears make this... Actually, well, make this... Let me... Okay. So we have that. Oop. No standing on my audio cables. Well, where did I put that? I'm going to clean these up real quick. Enjoy the music for a little bit while my glue gun warms up. And... oh, this is the busted one. I don't want the busted one. I want the fixed one. Alright. Funny enough, busted hot glue gun is not exactly the best thing to do a project with. And it's busted in that the trigger doesn't work anymore, so it won't push glue, which means it kind of works as a for a manual control, but which by manual I mean I have to push the glue through myself, which I can do, but it's just, you know, annoying, to say the least. Okay. I'm going to mute myself for a little bit while I get all of the remaining components of things I need together. And I clean up some of the paint stuff. So, I will be back very shortly. Okay, we're back. This is something I've been wanting to try for a long time. Can you guess what I want to do, what I'm going to do? With fishing line, hot glue, guess what I want to do? Actually, no. This is going to be decidedly unnaughty. Yup, whiskers! I've been wanting to do whiskers for a while. The question is where do you think I should put them? So where do you think I should put the whiskers? So the place I could see that would be like in this little gray gap here on the sides just under the nose. Or would it be a little something higher, like up in here? What do you think? Like closer to the nose or closer up towards the cheeks back here? Oof. Yeah, I hope you were able to fix it. Yeah. You think you should go lower? So like there, or like in the middle of this black section here, like there? Okay, Lori. So where my fingers are now, compared to where my fingers are now, do you think this is a good spot? Or should I put them higher or lower or more forward or more back? Here, I'll... Lower? So that seems pretty low. Like down there seems pretty low. Like the picture you sent. Okay, so... Oh yeah, they are kind of right around the bottom, around the lip. The big difference is I'm only really going to be able to do... I'm only doing one little spot of whiskers. I'm not doing a bunch of whiskers. Well, I mean, I'm going to be doing a bunch of whiskers, but like, I'm not like lining them. I'm not going to be lining them. At least for now. So why don't we do them like right there? Yeah. Maybe I'll do two. Maybe I'll do two sets of... Here, I'll grab a couple extras. If we decide to do more, we will do more. Now let's see if I can get in here or if I have to get the drill. I don't want to get the drill because the drill is a pain in the ass, but let's see if I can get in here with my hole puncher. Oh, one more. Click. There, the hole has been punched. It is irreversible now. This lost can never be saved. There we go. All right, so we're going to take the hot glue gun and we're going to put somewhere on the bottom. Fit it through and hopefully seat it nice and tight. What is lost can never be saved. Normally, so hot glue is obviously, it's not like a hugely intense hold, but it doesn't have to be. These shouldn't be maintaining a lot of strain, so to speak. So it shouldn't have to be a really super intense hold for it to work. And what I am going to do is I'm going to follow the other adage of hot glue, which is more is better. No. Nope, 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 nope. What else? What else do I want to listen to? What else is it? Well, let's see if Spotify finally works. Hey, there we go. Sure, why not? All right. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to give I'm going to put a liberal coating of glue over it and let it sort of settle in. So hopefully it won't go anywhere. Ow, ow, ow. Yes, I know, hot glue is hot. Luckily, I have pretty heat-proof fingers. Yes. Why aren't I supposed to glue that? I'm basically just putting a hot glue coating over those so that they're less inclined to come out. No, you're right. I don't need to glue my fingers. All right. Let's just clip some. Now we're just going to clip some. I wanted to get thicker fishing line, but they didn't have any when I went shopping, so I'm making do with what I have here. You know, I'm making them roughly the same size. They don't have to be. I can trim them up as much as I want to. Okay, so let's see if this is going to fit comfortably in here. The answer is yes. Answer is yes. So this is something I've been wanting to try for a while now. Oh. I'm going to let that dry. Oh, no, no, no. We want you to go in there. And put another little, let's put another little drop in there. Okay. Oh, whoops. I just bought like this is like 30-pound test weight fishing line. I got 250 yards for $3. So, you know, I guess sort of evaluate it as you'd like. I might shorten this up. I don't know. 1, 2. I think I did 1, 2, 3. I think I might go back and get some thicker. 3. 4. Like, I suppose I knew that I could buy it from craft shops, but I just kind of was like, eh. Again, I got this for like $3, and if this works, then fantastic, because it means I'll probably never have to buy. I mean, I might buy some thicker ones, but for the most part, I won't ever have to buy it ever again. Sorry, I realize I'm not on camera real well. There we go. All right. Let's be a little more careful with the glue this time. What do you think? Should I trim the whiskers or should I leave them long curled like this? Curly whiskers or trimmed whiskers? What do you think? They're slightly uneven, but I'm like trying to get this 100% even would be nightmarish. Especially, well, I mean, not nightmarish, but it would be a lot more difficult. It would require a lot of measurements that I don't really want to take right now. And putting a little drop of glue there to hold on to that. Nope, no. Stay in the glue until it gets nice and dry. Let's see how the back dried up. It dried just fine. All right. What do you think, Lori? Mew? I think that worked out kind of delightfully. The only question is do we keep the curly whiskers or do we trim the whiskers? Or do we let whoever buys it decide what they're going to do with the whiskers? Anyone? Opinions? Bueller. I like him. I think the color scheme is growing on me. I kind of wasn't happy with it when I first started, when I was painting it, but I think it is absolutely starting to grow on me. But regardless, I think that is where we're going to have to end things today. We're at a little over 4 hours. We got our 2 projects done. We got our cat mask done, and we got our... Well, it's not done. I still need to put on some finishing little pieces. Namely the straps, the head straps. But we got the painting done. We got the whiskers on. We got the ears on. The ears really, I think, make the pattern work more. What do you? I don't know if you heard, Lori, but what do you think? Do you think I should trim the whiskers, leave them long, or let whoever buys it do whatever they want with the whiskers? We're gonna stop there with that. Rawr. But yeah, we are going to call it there. I am going to, I think, raid Daruda, who I will be joining in for some Beat Saber in a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to raid them, say hi, take a little bit of a break before I jump in for some Beat Saber. So everyone say hi to Daruda for me, or with me. You know, you could say it's a kitty raid. It's a kitty raid. But I will be back on Sunday, probably for some backpack battles, which is coming out with its 1.0 then. So until I see you next time, hope you learned something. Hope today was better than yesterday, and hope tomorrow is better still. But until then, bye-bye. Bye-bye.